Galatians 6 verse 7. Be not deceived, Yahawah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Galatians 6 verse 3. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
This is what I want them to hear. This is powerful. They follow a God. We can't do our conference because people are dying. So that means people are dying on God's watch. So, why should I believe in him? When is God going to save our people? See, I can't be believing in no crazy shit like that because they've been selling this to us for years. So, they made me atheist. Hebrew Israelites made me atheist. Christians made me an atheist. Muslims made me an atheist because they sold me on a half-truth. That's what they did. They sold me on a half-truth. And the more they perpetuate this half-truth, the more unconvincing the story becomes. So there's an all-knowing God who, for whatever reason, hasn't decided, after the 1,200 years from the trans-Saharan slave trade, after the 400 plus years of the European enslavement, near 2 millenniums we had to undergo incapacitated, and still they believe in this God. And for some reason, they make excuses for why God suggests to us that we must endure during these hard times that they profess that we're living in to this day. Why do you or anyone else believe in God at this point? It's a lie. It's obviously a lie. Unless you're telling me someone who cared that much about my race doesn't think 1,600 years is enough of oppression. What, we got to do 1 more year? 10 more years? How much more years do we have to go with this all-knowing God who made us his chosen children of Israel, and all we have to do is believe in him or believe in Yahawah, bin Yahawah, or believe in Christ? How many more years do we got to believe in this nigga before we see some fucking results? See, that's why I'm an atheist. I have to be then. It's someone who doesn't believe in God or gods. You say anything outside of that, I want to see the definition so I can be clear to stand on it. But I have to be an atheist at this particular point because God has not delivered. And if I told you that you can come to my school, and when you come to my school, what's going to happen is you can get a degree. And when you get that degree, you can get a job. And now what happens when you make the sacrifice and you stay in a school system for 4 to 7 years? You get your degree, you got your certification, but the only thing you can do is get a job at Kinko's printing paper. Do you now believe in the school system after that? No. Would anybody get mad at you for saying that they didn't deliver? No. They would say, I understand, brother. They promised you something in exchange. You wanted that which they promised you in return. But actually, after all the years you invested into school, your time, your energy, and your money, after you invested your time, energy, and money, you got nothing in exchange. And now no one's going to get mad at you because they'll say, you know what? They didn't deliver. So how come we can't do that with God? When they tell me about God, the only thing they can deliver is speculation. They can deliver me a heaven, but I don't know. No one's coming back from heaven attesting to this shit. But hey, albeit for me to be a pessimist, show me something that God has given us in return for the belief in him. Show me. You can't show me 10 people who want to believe that God is down with them, because 10 years from now when they feel the religion is faulty, they'll be in another religion. So let's be for real. Show me an absolute where we know once I start believing in God, because the same Negroes getting at me saying Polight don't believe in God, they are in different organizations, not the same organization. Why did they God do that? Well, how am I supposed to believe in God and the Negroes propagating knowledge about God can't even remain organized? How come they are in different factions trying to give you the impression that something good is going on, where if it was that good, they would be under the same umbrella. They would not be in different factions or different sects. If they was reading from a book other than the Bible, I wouldn't mind if they had different organizations. But if they're all reading the same book made by the man that made the sun, moon, and the stars, how can they impress upon my mind that I need to subscribe to that one God with the multiple factions? How does that make sense? All of them are actually atheists if you ask me. They can't possibly believe in God. Because if they believed in God, they would be in one order, on one accord. If they believed in God, they'd be in under one umbrella in one organization. All of them are atheists. If anybody is more spiritual, it's everybody else who has come to the conclusion that God doesn't exist, because a big part of spirituality is common sense. And once you lose common sense, you lose sense of spirituality.
Telling us when you tell us that somebody gonna come out the sky.
Resident Evil. won't stop till the Bible's destroyed.
Great shooting, Nisu.
Hold on, can't see the rest of the sentence. Too much fucking holes in it. Look at that shit.
That's right.
Now it's the Holy Bible.
That's right. Clearly the Holy Bible right now.
Act like y'all never seen this before. We saw this February 8th. It's just gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse. Look what we did. The Bible or the bullet. Predation of the black woman. Reduce her to just a whore. Reduce her to several other derogatory terms. And then they go up there on stage before the rest of the world, and when they receive their award, after suggesting to us to sell drugs in our community, after suggesting to us to not respect our mothers, our daughters, and our sisters, they receive an award. And not only do they receive the award, the first thing come out their mouth is, "I like to thank God," and everyone applauds. See, I say I don't believe in God. And religious people tell me, go to hell. There's not one for me to go to because I don't believe in it. They say, go to hell. Oh, he's an idiot. Oh, he's a demon. Oh, I knew he was stupid the whole time. How you think everything got here? Well, let me say this. If you're gonna ask if everything just came here like poof, how you think it got here? Someone must have did it. So then how did God get here? Did God just mysteriously exist? Poof. Because God had the ability to create himself and put himself into existence. What stops any other God from putting themselves into existence? Unless you're telling me that God, after he created himself and put himself into existence, he created rules and regulations so no one could ever rise to his level. Then you're telling me that God has human attributes. And you reduce God to a human. And then he can no longer be a God. Because he's trying to eliminate competition, and God should be one and alone based on your definition. Based on your definition. So when I watch TV and I see the music awards and people that encourage our young ladies to take a disposition reminiscent to that of a harlot or a hoe or a prostitute, suggest to our women they should prostitute themselves in exchange of money. Suggest to our young brothers that they should gangbang against each other, kill each other, embark upon a fratricidal war with each other, sell drugs in their community, and they go up with pride and esteem and thank God for the reason why they have sold so many records propagating this nonsense to the community. What do you guys say? You applaud and you say you thank God. Because if not for God, they would have never received that award. If not for God, they would not have been empowered to propagate a message of mass destruction to their own community. So when I watch it, I say, well, shit. There's nobody in the audience that's looking at them in disdain. Everyone's like, well, just forgive him because after all, he thanked God for his accomplishments. Do you know what that tells me at that time? Then that's not my God. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I don't believe in no God at that point. If God is empowering them to propagate that message, you know what if we lived in their world and actually executed their message, there'd be a bunch of single mothers out here. Because all the men would be dead, but before they died, they would impregnate as much as women as possible. If we were to follow these crazies' message. So no. I'm not down with that. Oh, maybe God is responsible for the way Sean Bell got murdered, or Trayvon Martin, Sean Bell, Mike Brown, Eric Garner. Maybe God has something to do with that, right? Oh, I got it. He works in mysterious ways. That's what you're going to tell us, right? God works in mysterious ways. So he's having black people brutally slain all over the country, as if slavery wasn't enough. Because he works in mysterious ways. And the reason why I only knew my mother for 1 week in my life, and she died the week I met her when I turned 17. The reason why my mother left me, and I only knew her for 1 week in my life, is because God had a special plan for me, right? And my father left me at age 8 because God had a special plan for me, right? And I was homeless because God had a special plan for me, right? And I was in a group home, in juvenile detention facilities, and in prison because God has a special plan for all of us, right? And he won't let up. And Jesus is coming, but he's coming at an indefinite time. So my grandmother waited for Jesus, and he ain't come. And her child waited for Jesus, and he ain't come, and she died. And her child waited for Jesus. And they all died of disease. 3 generations died. A mother, her daughter, and her daughter's daughter all died. Waiting for Jesus to come at an indefinite time to redeem us. And everything that goes wrong is because we deserve it.
The really way that the devil could do his job is to deceive people into thinking that he's actually God, to deceive people into thinking that he's actually Christ. That's why they say you will have false prophets and false messiahs. I would respect a wolf. If I was a sheep, I would respect a wolf that approached me and tried to hunt me down than a wolf that came in sheep clothing.
My whole argument in this whole situation is, should people be locked up based on what people believe? I got the right to be angry. You know why? Because the Lord promises me something different. The Lord promises me that we will lock people up beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's what the Lord promises me.
Yeah. But in this case, it was up to 12 people to have that reasonable doubt or not. And those 12 people made the decision.
It's not. So what's the point?
If you want to fight for
it's your matter of opinion if you would have
fight for it for another reason. Don't fight for it because he's innocent of a molesting kid.
Let's say he molested 1,000 children. Factually.
Okay.
Genetic evidence and everything. Things that we don't deny scientifically. We say, wow, okay, true. If someone was to ask me, would you still worship him as your Most High, acknowledge him as your Most High God? I would have to. I don't identify with everything he does there, much like I believe most Christians don't identify with everything their God does, because it says their God is a jealous God. And some Christians would tell you it's not right to be jealous. And some would tell you that, you know, it shouldn't be vengeful, but in the Bible it tells you the Most High is a vengeful God. And it tells you you shouldn't hate, but it tells you that God loved Jacob and he hated Esau. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a difference between being a proud Nubian and saying that he's innocent. Okay, that's two different people. I could be a proud Nubian because I was born in Nuwapu, but it's two different kinds of people.
Are you got people Nubian, if that's the case?
I can be, but how can I be a proud Nubian if the Nubians are saying that he's innocent and I'm saying that this happened to me?
Yeah,
so now it is. You see how we sitting down talking? That's. But see, the thing is that, you know, now is my word against the master teacher's word, and whose word is they gonna take?
I know one thing the master teacher always taught is that when you're looking at the sides of the truth, there's his side, her side, his or her side versus his or her side. But really, in actuality, it's just the truth. Your side, their side, and just the truth. There's only one truth.
Go into the details on the contract. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the plea agreement includes an adjudication, 7 years of state prison, followed by 10 years of reporting probation. As a condition of probation, the defendant will...
Would you say 10 years probation?
10 years reporting probation. Okay. The defendant will complete the MDSO program. The defendant will not be allowed to have unsupervised contact with children. The defendant will have specific terms regarding where he may work and the ability to wear a uniform. There are additional terms of restitution, of which $5,000 has been agreed to be paid upfront within 24 hours, mailed to the to the victim, and additional restitution to be paid out on a monthly basis once he is out of custody. And that monthly amount is highlighted in the written terms of the plea agreement. Additionally, there will be a stay-away order from victim TS and her mother, which is also mentioned in the plea agreement.
What is the total amount of the restitution?
The total amount of restitution is $25,000.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, is the defendant's counsel going to be providing probation as a proof of the $5,000 being paid?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. All right. Okay, so Mr. Nowak, the terms of the plea agreement are as what the prosecutor just stated, that you are going to be entering a plea of guilty to the 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. You will be adjudicated guilty, which is a criminal conviction on your record. Do you also understand, sir, that by entering into this plea that it may subject you to involuntary civil commitment proceedings set forth in Florida statutes 394.910 through 394.931? Do you understand everything that I've said thus far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to also advise you, sir, that you are going to be sentenced to 7 years in state prison, to be followed by 10 years of reporting probation. In addition to any of these special conditions of probation, you will also participate in and successfully complete a mentally disordered sex offender treatment program, that you are also not eligible. Okay, you may, according to the state, you may be eligible for early termination if all of the conditions of your probation have been completed, that you have had no violations of your probation, and that you have not been arrested for any other criminal offense. Is that correct, State?
And to clarify, the terms stated in 5 is there is no prohibition on early termination. However, there is a requirement that any modification to this agreement be agreed by the state and the court.
Okay. All right, sir. Now, with respect to this plea agreement, I have on each page next to defendant's initials MN. Did you in fact affix those initials to each page?
I did.
And have you reviewed each and every component of this plea agreement going through page 1 and through page 4?
I have.
Now it says on page 4, having read the above mentioned terms of this plea agreement and having been advised by my counsel, David Terrace, I, Michael Noak, freely and voluntarily enter into this plea agreement and agree to abide by all terms and conditions of this plea agreement, and agree that failure to comply with any terms or conditions within this agreement constitutes a violation of probation and subjects me to be sentenced to the statutory maximum penalties provided by law for the crimes for which I am now pleading guilty. And then it has a signature over the name Michael Noah. Is that in fact your signature, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I am now going to place my signature on this plea agreement, in that I am now going to be ratifying this plea agreement as negotiated between the state of Florida and your attorney. Has anybody, including your...
The first time I have spoken publicly about what you've done to my daughter and I have gracefully remained silent the last 2.5 years. 2.5 years of pain, shock, disbelief, PTSD, constant nightmares, and daily triggers. Trying to help my daughter heal when I'm not even healed myself. What you have done to my daughter, myself, and my entire family is inexcusable. You hurt us all. You made me believe that you were such a great man and you could do no wrong. You made me fully trust you, and for that, my daughter trusted you too. But the truth is, you're a monster, a demon. The very first time that I allowed you to be alone with my daughter, the very first time, and you couldn't even help yourself. You told me you was gonna be right back. You were going downstairs. You were gonna grab food and take vacation pictures. You told me that you wanted to have a one-on-one talk with her about loving and respecting me as a great mother that I was and am. And I actually believed you. I believed that you were going to bring her right back. I thought you were going to have this trusting conversation with her that you promised me. Her and I both trusted you. For a grown man to violate a child who trusted him, you should be ashamed of yourself. You plotted on me and my little girl. The entire time you knew what you planned to do. Isolate, intoxicate, then violate my baby. Shame on you. I trusted you to bring her right back. You were supposed to bring her back the same way that you took her. Instead, you drugged her and took advantage of her, and you sexually abused her. You forced alcohol down her throat. You then forced her to see things that no child should ever have to see. You forced her to feel things that no child should have to feel. You forced her to accept violence that no child should ever have to endure. You forced drugs in her that no human should ever even ingest. She's my child. My baby. How could you? How could you? You could have killed her with all the drugs that were found in her system. And you thought your master plan was mapped out perfectly, huh? You thought I'd be dumb enough to believe you over my child. And you thought that money would blind me. You thought I was going to be so blinded that I wouldn't notice when you returned her with bruises all over her body and her mouth busted, uncontrollably shaking. Absolutely not. And although you executed your plan and you got what you wanted those couple of hours, you actually failed. Because look where you're at right now. You have created a lifetime of trauma for my daughter and I. Before you, we never knew evil existed. You brought so much evil into our lives that early morning, and I'll never forget. I called you like 50 times and you wouldn't answer me. And I called her too, but you took her phone. You drugged my baby and you gave her no way to seek help. You left me no way to contact her or even know where she was. I get physically sick now whenever I'm away from my daughter because of you. Something as simple as her going to school, I'm in panic mode. Because I'm scared when she comes back, she's going to be hurt all over again. I constantly have flashbacks of that night. And what she lives with is not okay. She feels uncomfortable around people and will live with this forever, and this is not fair to her. She never deserved this. Shame on you for forcing evil on our youth. And you know, for a year, I questioned, how could you even do this to us? Her and I did nothing wrong to you. We trusted you. I moved across the country because I believed everything that you told me. But it was pure manipulation I see now. All you do is specialize in selling false dreams. How could you do this to an innocent child and mother who simply trusted you? We did nothing wrong. But you know what? I'm done breaking my head trying to question or figure out how you could do such a thing. It's so simple to me now. You're just a sick man. A man you can have a plethora of women, but you secretly prefer to have a child. And it's so clear now. I will never be able to fully trust another person due to the betrayal that you've shown me. And for that, I was not willing to trust 6 strangers and go to trial. Nor was I going to put my daughter through an additional trauma. This plea was in our best interest. You and I both know the evidence is extremely substantial. But even with that, I refuse to have my child be tormented when she's done nothing wrong. All she holds is the truth. And I will say this, although you were so worried about being labeled a sex offender, you did us a huge favor by admitting to guilt, period. So for that, I thank you. I truly thank you. Yes, mitigation took place and I allowed it as long as it meant you going to prison and you getting true help. Because true help means no more victims. The fact that your only non-negotiable was to accept a sex crime shows exactly the type of man that you are. You know what you did in that hotel room. I know what you did, and my daughter knows what you did. DNA doesn't lie. There's no reason why your DNA should have been found on my baby. And yes, I satisfied your bogus request to not be labeled a sex offender, but it doesn't take away from who you truly are. I wasn't going to waste any time going back and forth with you over a label. God will judge you for exactly the person he knows you to be, a sexual predator. So rest assured, jail time equals jail time. And I pray that during your 10 years of sex offender probation, you actually receive the treatment that you need and it helps heal your sick mind and get the thoughts of being with children out of it. All you care about is your pretend image. But I know exactly who you are now. You want to be this public figure, but you want to do all your evil acts in secret. You're so self-centered. That's why the last time I saw you on February 27, 2021, you fought me. You tried to hold me hostage from taking my daughter to the hospital. I'll never forget that cowardly look in your eyes. I'll never forget it. You were so scared. You were so scared because you realized you messed with the wrong one. Your last words to me, you held me and said, please don't go. You're going to ruin my career. Well, today, September 6th, 2023, my last words to you are, I hope the next 17 years of your life, you're reminded of the disgusting, terrifying, unforgettable acts that you've done to my innocent daughter. Shame on you. And although you've caused a tremendous amount of trauma for myself and my daughter, we will and will always be superior of you, because a successful, honest career is something that you could never, ever have. We will both continue to stand against violence. My daughter will continue to persevere and be bright and intelligent and a courageous young woman that she is. So Michael Nowak, I hope you enjoy prison, and God bless you.